Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Rivers Tuesday. I'm your host, Maggie Colella, here with John Teague. How are you, John?
Another episode?
Yeah, that came out weird.
Another.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was your snow day?
Snow day. Wow. This weekend was just kind of weird,
Very
all the
weird.
build up and then nothing, that was fun about the weather other than it canceling things. And, I don't know, my kids are living their best life right now, like being out of school Monday and Tuesday of this week. And, so yeah, Sunday, that was a rare day off for me and for church staff. That's a rare Sunday off. And, it was nice to have some just really slow, quiet time in the morning, just reading my Bible and journaling and enjoying that time with the Lord. But it felt weird. And because I think that, there's a reason we gather every week on Sundays, and it's because we need to be together. And
Yes.
I felt that.
Yes. Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, oh, this is a nice, unexpected, little respite. But I was also like, I miss my church family, and
Yes.
I'm excited to see them again.
Yeah.
All right. Do you like cold weather or hot weather better?
Oh gosh. So I'm good with every season. I like the beginning of every season.
Yes,
and then
I agree.
I like the change of the season. I think that the older I get, and I was getting some hate for being old before we started recording this. Someone said something about that, I have old bones or something.
Are they getting brittle?
Yeah. And I'm in my mid 40s, okay? I'm not that old. But I have noticed I'm getting colder.
It's a real thing.
Apparently, genders go in opposite directions on that. And so, I'm getting colder, and I'm, always cold in the house. And, Katie thinks I'm a psycho. And so I've grown to, enjoy warmer weather more. Yeah.
Yes, I'm the same. Do you have a hard time transitioning seasons with your wardrobe?
No.
Okay.
It's pretty
Thought it
clear.
might be.
It's long or short. That's just kind of how I go.
I have a hard time with that, and I didn't know if it was Enneagram 6 thing that you would be able to relate to me with, or if I'm just on an island over here with that.
Well, describe the feeling more to me.
Since I was little, anytime you're transitioning seasons, I just have a really hard time with that shift. Either knowing when to change what I'm wearing, or
Okay.
having a hard time letting go of
Oh, okay.
what I was comfortable wearing and
Yeah.
shifting to a whole new set of
Yeah.
and type of clothes.
Yeah.
That's hard for me.
Yeah. I don't think I have quite that level of emotional thing going on there, but I do think that sometimes I have a hard time in that. Apparently I've been told by smarter people than I am that our bodies, that temperature is somewhat relative. So 65 degrees might actually feel cold if we're used to 85 degrees.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But if it's if it all of a sudden shot up to, I don't know. Anyway, I have a hard time in those middle transitions where it's do I wear short sleeves or long sleeves today?
Yes.
Because it's cold right now, but it's going to get hot later.
Yes. And I feel like we have a lot of those days in our transitional seasons. Okay, I have another fun thing for you that you're going to hate.
Oh,
I think
good.
you're going to hate.
This is going to be rank the best something.
No, it's not ranking, but it is rapid fire, this or that. So there's a podcast I listen to, and at the end of every episode they do this, and it's very
Okay.
fun. So you
Okay.
can't think, you just have to say which one you choose, okay?
Oh, great.
All right, we already did hot or cold, but you didn't really decide. So you're going to have to get better.
Okay.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Okay. Hunting or fishing?
Gosh, Maggie.
It's a speed situation, so you have to answer quickly.
Hunting.
Yard work or housework?
Yard work.
Dishes or laundry?
Dishes.
Cast iron or stainless steel?
Stainless steel.
Really? Coffee or tea?
Hey, how this works is if you want me to play your game, don't criticize my answers.
Okay.
Okay, what was
It's a
the
judgment-free zone. Coffee or tea?
coffee?
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird.
Show or movie?
Ooh, I feel like I'm with the rest of the culture now and moving towards show.
Audiobook or podcast?
Podcast.
Beef or chicken?
Beef.
Mexican or Italian?
Italian.
I'm very surprised by that.
Well, I would eat chips and salsa and then have lasagna.
Country music or rock music?
Country.
Okay, that's all for now.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for participating.
Okay, I'm coming up with my own for you.
Okay.
Next time. I'll make a little note.
All right. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, we didn't have a sermon on Sunday, so clearly we're talking about the weather and my favorite things.
Anybody listening to this is like, what is happening?
They've already turned it off.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about Ecclesiastes, and then at the end, we're going to talk about Lent.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about Ecclesiastes. How do you feel like the series is going so far, and what has it been doing in your heart as you've been studying this book and preaching these sermons?
Yeah. I think that what it's doing in my heart is revealing where I know this about myself, but it just continues to confront me with all the places that I turn to or reach for to find something, you know, like, and it feels it's too grand to say to find life. Like I'm reaching for my phone to find life. No one does that, you know, like, no, but I'm reaching for things that, because I think that they're better in the moment than perhaps, you know, what the Lord has for me in the moment. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that's what it's revealing to me. And then as far as like how I think the series is going, I would say it's hard and I'm longing for good news. You know, like Ecclesiastes is hard because it is confronting us, and there is good news that's sprinkled along the way.
Yes. Yeah. What is there? There was some line of like, Ecclesiastes has to like wound you before it can heal you. That kind of idea of like, you have to, it kind of hurts and you kind of have to be brought down to this low place of like stripping things away and realizing your need for the good news. And then the good news is that much better when you've gotten to that place.
Yeah. Ecclesiastes, just like, I feel like if you just are consuming it, it's hard.
Yeah.
You know? But but you'll find that Ecclesiastes like finds its way into other contexts in life. Like, you know, just recently I was doing a funeral and I just just naturally was talking about some of the things that I'm learning in Ecclesiastes. And when we get to the end of our lives, or we are looking back on the life of someone we've lost, like that, all of a sudden, like some of these things come into real stark relief, you know, and some of the things that Solomon's wrestling with, like we're faced with in those moments. Yeah. And so it's good even if it's hard. Yeah.
Do you find yourself thinking about your own death in a like way that is helpful to you?
Gosh.
It's a lighthearted question for you.
Right. No. You know what's funny? Like we were joking about me being old, but like I don't think about that.
No.
You know, even as we are reading these things in Ecclesiastes, I am, and some of that may just be my wiring, just not as maybe as future oriented. And so I'm not thinking about that, but I am thinking more about like maybe more the near future.
Yes. Yeah. I'm the same way. I don't think about it at all. I was listening to a book though that had you kind of walked you through purposefully like thinking about it for the purpose of like realizing how much your life is a vapor. And I do think that it is like a good practice for Christians from time to time in like a healthy way to take a minute and like acknowledge that reality, because I think it builds hope and it builds like a Jesus-centered realisticness about your life, knowing that like, that it is limited, and therefore how do I want to spend my days? How do I want to spend my time? I think it's just like a realigning question. Yeah. But it's hard to think about.
It is hard to think about. I don't know what book you were listening to. Was it Living Life Backward?
No.
Okay. Well, in that particular book, it also has a similar thread. And I think that the author there says something that far better than I'm sounding than I'm going to say it. But basically, like, Ecclesiastes, you can't fall into the wrong thinking that he's saying everything is meaningless and has no meaning. Like, actually, what he's saying is that, like, it's not that nothing matters; it's that everything actually matters. Like, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And I think maybe that's the word, maybe matters more than meaning, because he does kind of say, meaningless, but everything matters.
Yes.
And when you look at it in light of your time being limited, then the way you spend your time matters, right? Like,
Yes.
and the things you chase that are going to let you down, like, it matters that we realize that, right? And the broken ways that we relate to people, learning how to relate differently, it matters. I'm spinning off onto all different kinds of trails, but everything matters.
Yes, yeah. So how do you tell the difference between something? How do you tell the difference between you knowing in the right way that something matters, and then you shifting into the negative, like, wrong way of thinking that thing has ultimate meaning, or that you can gain life from that thing? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. I guess we have to think about, like, why does it matter? It matters because we represent Christ, and we have been rescued and redeemed for a reason, for purposes, to bring the light of Christ into the darkness of this world. And so those things, so that's why all these things matter, right? But like, our identity doesn't come from, pursuing work, or pursuing pleasure, or pursuing, I don't know, like, perfect relationship, right? Like, our identity isn't in whether we achieve it or not.
Yes.
Our identity is found in Christ, and it is from that identity that we pursue relationship. It's from that identity that we go to work. It's from that identity that we even enjoy the good gifts that God gives us.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very helpful distinction. And maybe another distinction would be, like, realizing and acknowledging that there are things that matter, like our work and our relationships, and, like, another endless list of things that do matter. And there's a difference between acknowledging that those things have meaning and then trying to control those things. And I think that's a lot of times where it goes wrong in my heart, is when I start trying to control that thing. I think a lot of what Ecclesiastes is getting at is, like, you can take your hands off, like, stop trying to, like, clench your fist around this thing and have it and control it the way you want. Open your hands. The thing is still there, but you can rest and you can receive instead of trying to control it and grasp at it. And
that's
I think
good.
that's a helpful difference for me when I'm thinking about Ecclesiastes. What about the second week? You talked about the tests that we run, and I think it's helpful to think about some of the quote unquote noble tests that we run that look good, sound noble, and there's some virtue, like, weaved into it. But if we're running it as a test to find ultimate meaning, it will fail us. So I think of something like Sabbath, like rest. Okay. This is, like, a good Christian thing. However, it's not, we can't run that as a test for our ultimate identity or satisfaction or purpose. And we might be tempted to do that, and it might be tricky because it sounds like a good thing and a Christian thing to do. Or we talk too about community, like these noble good things that we, if we're not careful, we'll try to, like, stuff into a hole they're not meant to fill.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I think I understand the community one probably even better than the Sabbath one, because that makes me think about even, like, marriage and how it's good to pursue a healthy marriage. It's good to pursue friendship and healthy community. But if we think that that's going to fill the hole in our life fully, it won't be able to fully fill it, because because these are broken people too,
Yes.
right? And we're gonna fail each other even in friendship.
Yes.
And we're definitely gonna fail each other in marriage, because we see each other, at our worst, and and so we're broken people.
Yes.
And so we're not gonna be able to fill that up completely.
Yes. Yeah. I think the Sabbath one, I can kind of unpack that for you a little more. I think like Sabbath is a good gift, and yet even when we honor it and when we're really intentional, if I'm not careful, I can look towards Saturday, which is our Sabbath. I can look towards that day and be like, okay, if I can just get there, that'll fix me. Or if I can just get there, then that day is what will give me rest, not enjoying Jesus in that day. And it's like a subtle difference, but it matters a lot, because if I go through my Sabbath or look forward to my Sabbath only thinking the rest and the ceasing is going to make me okay, then I'm missing the point. Because the Sabbath is meant to like point me onward to Jesus and my rest in him.
Yes.
But I think that's just an example of one of those things that like it sounds really virtuous and sounds really good and really appealing to have a Sabbath, and we should, and we're going to talk more about that. But don't make the mistake of thinking that day of rest will fix something in you that only Jesus can fix.
Yeah. That's good.
All right, you ready to talk about Lent?
Lent, not L-I-N-T.
Not L-I-N-T.
L-E-N-T.
L-E-N-T. All right, what is Lent?
Lent, it's the season that leads up to Easter. I think it's 40 days that traditionally begins with a Wednesday called Ash Wednesday, and then there's 40 days plus the Sundays along the way.
Okay.
Because I think it actually ends up being more than 40 actual days.
Because the Sundays in between are actually feast days.
Correct.
Where you
not
don't
fast days.
Okay.
Yes. But it's this season that leads up to the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus, where we kind of reflect on what led him to the cross.
Yeah.
Which is our sin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And for somebody who might be like, this is weird, this is religious, this is not necessary, what might we encourage them of like, why would we lean into the church calendar? Why would we pay attention to these seasons in the Christian life? Yeah.
Well, I would just say, yes, you're right. It does sound religious. It is religious because it's man-made tradition. It's not like there's no season of Lent in the Bible.
Right.
Lent is somewhat patterned after, those 40 days. It's kind of patterned after the 40 days that Jesus spent in the wilderness, fasting before his ministry. But there's no like, and you shall practice a 40-day season of fasting prior to celebrating the resurrection of Jesus, right? Like that's not in the Bible.
Yes.
So it is a tradition, but I think it's a good tradition, and I think it's good when the church calendar has seasons like this, because it calls us all sort of into the same spot where we can all kind of do this together. Yes. That's kind of the idea, so that we're not, like following Jesus is not a solo project, and that flies in the face of the radical individualism of the world we live in today. But there's a reason why we belong to a church. That's why we get into a church family, and we do things together, and we walk through seasons like Advent together, and even like Lent together.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like this helps me, and this is probably, to some people, this is like, duh. But for someone who isn't familiar with these seasons, this might be helpful. Like Advent is to Christmas as Lent is to Easter. Yeah. And so in the same way that in Advent, you're kind of entering into this intentional period of waiting to prepare your heart to fully receive and celebrate Christmas, Lent is purposefully putting yourself in a season of self-denial to prepare yourself to receive and celebrate and rejoice with Easter. And so I just think, like, I have caught myself many Easters on Easter Sunday being like, oh yeah, I'm celebrating the resurrection. Like, and my heart and my mind hadn't caught up. Like I really wasn't in a place to fully receive and fully celebrate to the degree that I long to.
Yeah.
And so entering into Lent is just really intentionally making space to prepare your heart and prepare your mind to celebrate Easter, which is so worthy of our celebration and of our rejoicing. And so that's helpful, because I think we've talked about this a little bit, but I think we are very left-brained in our culture, meaning we just like facts, linear, want to learn something, tell me the truth. Lent is a more of a right brain experience that will help you like fully understand, in more than just a like brain knowledge way, the truths of Easter. It helps you like embody them and experience them and like know them way more deeply than if you just like read a book about it.
Yeah.
You get to enter into like a fuller experience. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. The word I keep thinking of is formational.
Yes.
The hope of entering into a season like this and saying, I'm going to participate in this. I'm going to learn more about this. And what is this fast? These practices like fasting or just intentionally pursuing the Lord in some different practices throughout Lent. These things are meant to form us.
Yes.
To form us more and more into the image of Jesus. And I think in particular about the season of fasting, which Lent is, that can be a really good thing, because it can help expose some of the places that we're dependent upon certain things, that, you know, when you strip those things away, there's more room for Jesus to come in to those places. You know, there's more quiet so that you can hear the voice of God speaking truth into your life. And so that's why these things can be so important, and they can form us.
Yes, yeah. And so traditionally in Lent, it's a season of fasting. And so what we're inviting our church family into this Lent season is for us all together to do a screen fast. And so there's various levels that you can enter in, but at minimum, we're inviting everyone to fast from any unnecessary screen usage. And then you can kind of add on to that, wherever you want to enter in. Maybe that's no TV at all. Maybe that's like limiting even how you use it for work, like truly the bare minimum, in an effort to, like we said, like remove those distractions and make more space for the truths that we're wanting to lean into.
Yeah. Like you said, I think there's a number of ways that you could enter into this. And I think we're talking about it now because Lent doesn't begin until, is it like February 18th?
That's correct.
I think. So we've got a few weeks from when we're recording this to begin to just to think about that and kind of prepare ourselves for that. But I have been already on a bit of a fast from like unnecessary screen time, and I can already see the fruit of it in my life, and it has created more space. It's created more space for me to be present with the Lord, but it's also created more space for me to be present with people who are really important to me.
Yes.
And for that, I'm so grateful, and I think that it could be a real blessing for all of us. That's why I want to invite everyone into it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I think there's something in all of us that longs for this. Like, we know it will be difficult and it will not be easy. And there'll be moments where we're like frustrated, you know? But I think we know deep down that it's good, even though it's difficult. And it just makes me think of Jesus, like, which is the whole point of like, imagining him on the cross, and which was like this ultimate picture of his self-denial and self-sacrifice. And so he could have just in a word like made all of that end. Like, he was in pain, he was suffering, it was horrid, and he could have just like chosen an easy way out with just a word. He could have stopped it. He could have said like, I'm done with this, make it stop. And all of that would have ended. And I think every time we purposefully enter into even like a way smaller degree of self-denial, right? Like it kind of seems silly to compare our like moments of self-denial to him on the cross. But I think it is important to connect the two. That like every time we exercise self-control and not picking up our phone, every time we don't say that word we really want to say, every time we don't raise our voice to our children, every time we don't like have road rage, every time we don't binge on the food, every time we don't keep watching the show, every time we don't, like, you fill in the blank, like every little act of self-denial like that helps us understand Jesus more and helps us appreciate that like ultimate act of self-denial. And I think that's one of the things you get to experience in Lent is just like a bond with Jesus in what he did. Like if you think of, there's certain experiences, even painful ones, that when you experience that thing too, it helps you feel connected to anyone else who's ever experienced that. Like everyone knows this to be true. Like when you have experienced grief, you now understand and feel connected to others who have experienced grief too. It connects you. And I think purposefully entering into a season of difficulty and self-denial, as you experience that, you feel more connected to Jesus, who his whole life was an act of self-denial.
Yes.
And so I think that's, to me, Lent is not just about like who can be the most hardcore or who can say no to the most things just for that. It's not, that's not the point. We're not just asking you to do something hard so we can like feel impressive. We're asking you to do this because we really believe, I really believe you'll experience and know and appreciate Jesus more after doing that.
Yes. I have two thoughts.
Yes.
Don't let me, so reward.
Okay.
And shoot, I already forgot the second one. Gosh, I always do that. Reward and replace. Okay. Those are my two thoughts. We'll start with reward. I'm in a season right now where I've given up a lot of things. I'm fasting from quite a few things. And I've come to the realization that when you don't have any restrictions in your life, really, like, it's hard for anything to be a reward.
Yeah.
So think about that with your own children.
Yes.
Like if you don't restrict anything in the pantry to them, then like what are you going to offer them as a reward? Like what is a treat?
Yeah.
Like what is a special thing? Like what's a gift, right?
That's really good.
So when you're fasting and you're denying yourself something because you want more of Jesus, that's the replace part that's coming. Like there's a real sweetness when you get to reward yourself with enjoying that gift.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Because, connection with other people, it can be a gift, right?
Yes.
I mean, some of the ease of life that your phone provides for you, that can be a gift. But when it's just like unfettered and all the time, like it doesn't become, it's not really a gift anymore. And so I don't know, you seem like you have a thought about that.
I just think in our culture, like part of why we have, I think, just like the brokenness and the problems that we have in our culture is that we've lost the power to enjoy because we are just in an unending waterfall of like little joys that aren't really filling us up because we never restrict. And so we're just constantly getting flooded with like dopamine and with all these like little candies, and therefore like nothing ever truly satisfies. And so I just think there's something really good and beautiful about having like God honoring, purposeful restrictions and boundaries in your life. And I think when you do that, that's when you begin to like have the power to enjoy something so much more fully, and it's so much better when you do that. Okay, replace. So I don't know if you're listening and you've experienced this, but I have been fasting before, but like from food, for instance, it's a fast day or something, and I get toward the end of the day and like I have not drawn closer to the Lord. I've not reached out for him. I've just like pounded through the day, and then like you feel some of the effects perhaps of not eating, for instance, in this particular kind of fast, and you might be grumpy or hungry or whatever. But instead of like going to the Lord and asking him to fill you and using that hunger as a way to like turn toward him, I just kind of have like pounded through the day, and I get to the end of this fast day and I'm like, all I've done is not eat. Like, and I didn't replace the eating with like
with Jesus, or just, or with prayer, or just stopping for a moment, pausing maybe, instead of in that moment while I was eating, to like stop and pray.
Yes.
Or even to use the hunger as a way to say, Lord, I want to hunger for you, like I feel right now being hungry for food, right? Like, so throughout the season of Lent, if you're going to practice some type of restriction or fast, and it has to do with your phone or with screens, then you've got to think about what you want to replace that time and that energy and that longing for with. And so, like, I really recommend like finding a devotion or a reading plan or something that like helps you in that particular season, right?
Yes.
Of Lent, that like, that's how you're going to like replace that time, you know, or just even thinking like, if we're on a screen fast, so like, when am I like just so tempted to be on the screen the most, you know? And so like, I'm going to prepare for Lent by like, you know, going to the Samaritan Center and getting some new puzzles, you know, or a new game, you know, or I'm gonna like think about a book that I want to read in the evenings once the dinner's cleared and cleaned up and the kids are bathed and they're in bed, and it's like, this is the book that's going to kind of be like my sweet reward, that points me to Jesus, you know, or it forms me in a way more into the image of Christ. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, so you're not just sitting there going, well, this stinks. I'm just not eating, you know, or I'm just not fat. I'm just whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So Lent starts February 18th. We're inviting you to consider the screen fast with us. And yeah, I think in preparation for Lent, just be thinking and asking the Lord to speak into like, what do you want those God honoring restrictions to be? How do you want to lean into self-denial so that you can lean into Jesus more? And then we'll link in the show notes some devotions that you can grab so that you can have something to kind of accompany that time. And also our women's Bible study will be starting at that week. So women's Bible study this year like is exactly in the Lent season. And so we're going to be walking through a Lent study in our women's Bible study. So encourage you to sign up for that. Those will be coming out soon. But yeah, just be considering how you're going to lean into that season.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.
See ya.